And what are the differences between those?
Non-objective doesn't make any sort of real reference to visual reality. What we can discern from the visual images, we can't necessarily make associations about. Abstract, it departs from reality, but we still can kind of understand, what's trying to be conveyed. And naturalistic is just what it sounds like. The objects that we see represent our usual reality.
Nice. Yeah, you got it perfect. Thank you, Elliot. So, just like Elliot said, natural is just like it says the name. It's a very naturalistic way of looking at things. Abstract, um, we kind of have a reassemblance of what the object is, and non-objective is something that we honestly don't even know what it is, right? So, if you guys see here on the top, I have a couple of post-its. So, if you would be so kind to write what each of these are, or what do you think they are? So, which ones are naturalistic, which ones are abstract, and which ones are objective, okay? And you can just put it like right on top of it. Don't worry. And again, if you have any problems with the website or your account, just let me know so we can work on that. Also, if you have any questions at any point, feel free to stop me and ask them, okay? Because I know this is going to be like a lot of material, and especially with the exam coming up, but we can go through. I see abstract, non objective. Nice, very good. Naturalistic. hmm So I see another abstract, yes. Naturalistic, non objective. Yeah, so it seems like everyone got the hang of it. So this is pretty basic, and this for the exam, you are going to have to identify 5 pictures um, regarding on their style. Okay, so the teacher is or the professor is going to show you 5 images, and you have to determine if it's naturalistic, abstract, and non-objective. But I mean, just based on your answers right now, it seems like you all understand what each of those are. Now let's go to the naturalistic. This one's naturalistic. Let's go to the next section. Now the next section, it talks about form and content. Now, Jorge, would you like to read this portion here? So form, content, and subject matter, please.
Yeah, of course. Okay, so form, the visual qualities and properties. Content, message and meaning behind. And then subject matter, the event or object happening.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Jorge. So now I have some other post-its here. If you would like to put what you think the form is, at least for this piece. So remember, the form are the visual qualities, what we can see with our eyes, right? So you can just take a post-it, write on it, and just drag it over here. And let me just create a couple of more if you guys need some. So someone just joined. So for that person who just joined, in the chat, I'm going to be sending you a link. You can click on it, and it's going to ask you for an account. You can create one with any emails that you have available, but It's basically what we're doing right here. Okay. Oh wait, this one got unlocked. Just lock this one again. So naturalistic, yeah. Now, what do y'all think it's another visual quality? Kind of like, so remember, visual quality is everything that we see with our eyes, right? So color would be another thing. So what could be said about this picture's color or this sculpture?
Is this the one where they're kissing?
Yes.
It's by Rodin. You could talk about the subject, the form, and the content also in the sculpture.
Yeah, exactly.
The subject is a kiss. The form is it's a sculpture. It's marble. It's life size, naturalistic. The content is passionate love, sensual delight, that sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. So just like Elliot, thank you, Elliot. Form, remember the visual qualities. So it's gonna be the style, right? If we were talking about what we see, it's gonna be, it looks very realistic, right? Very natural. We can also talk about the color. For content, that's gonna be the meaning behind it. I saw someone put love. That's a very good meaning, or the message behind it, right? So what was the author trying to convey with that sculpture? And the subject matter is the literal event of what's happening, right? So what's happening here, it's two people kissing each other. If we were to have a sculpture of someone with a sword, then the event happening would be something like someone swinging a sword. That's like as literal as it gets. Any questions so far? If you do have questions, you can feel free to ask them either through the call or the chat, okay? If not, then we can keep going. Now let's go ahead to the next one. So the next one, we're gonna talk about 2D media. And the first one that we're gonna talk is dry media. So that's gonna be pencil, silver point, charcoal, chalk, Conte crayon, and pastel. Now there's a couple of terms that we need to know for the exam, which are these ones. There's 3 different categories of drawings. So sketches, preparatory studies, and fully developed work of arts. And that's kind of like the timeline for any work of art, right? You basically start with a sketch, you move on to the study, to the actual like draft, you could call it, after the sketch, and then the final piece would be the fully developed work of art. Now, there's 2 other types of studies. There's the regular study, which is a planning of a drawing, right? Just like I said, it's like the inner piece. And there's a cartoon, which is the actual full-scale preliminary study. So these might look a little confusing, and I have an example for you here. So, for example, on the right one, we see the final work of art, right? The finished product. The left picture, that's going to be the study or the preliminary drawing, right? You see that it's just a bunch of sketches. You see here we have how the artist is planning on doing the face, how he's going to do small details like the foot, but it's not really worked all the way. Now, the difference between that and the cartoon is that cartoons are almost done drawings. So, and we're gonna cover that later today. Um, those are used in fresco paintings. If you were able to watch the videos that the professor submitted, or not submitted, but gave to you guys, one of the videos we're talking about how the fresco paintings are made, and basically what they do, they take lime plaster and then they put in a wall and they draw the whole thing in the plaster, right? Now, that's not the full drawing, and it's not a sketch either, but that's kind of like the outline, right? And that's going to be considered the cartoon. So it's neither the study nor the full work of art. Now, taking those concepts into consideration, now let's move to each one of these. Now, for you guys, I have all of these post-its belong here. So if you guys were so kind to pick one and just put it wherever you think it belongs to, then we can go ahead and talk about that afterwards, okay? Now, for your exam, remember, and even the professor said that in one of the announcements, was that you need to memorize a lot of terminology and characteristics for each topic or subtopic that we covered in class. So this is going to be very helpful for you since it pretty much takes apart every single method into those characteristics, okay? So we have pencil is erasable. Yeah. Or you know what? Let's first start with pencil. So what from these characteristics do you think belongs to the pencil, right? It's erasable. That's pretty good. What about the values, right?
It goes from 9H to 6B, HB being the midtone.
Yeah, exactly. So that means that this one's going to go here, right? Oh, I think someone inexpensive. Yeah, inexpensive is another one. Just like you said, Elliot, the values go from 9H to 6B. Now, this is going to be known as the nomenclature of the pencil. So the values or colors that you can achieve with that, right? What's another characteristic? So what about this one, the midtone? Do you think that goes in the pencil?
The midtone, the HB?
Mhm.
Of course it does. I mean, it's the midtone. So
yeah, exactly. Thank you, Elliot. So yeah, I think those are all of them for the pencil. Now let's do the next one, silver point. So cannot be erased. That is very good. Made using a silver wire. Very good. What's another thing about this one?
it can't be erased. It's a really demanding and intensive process.
What about when it comes to shading? How do artists shade their drawings?
Cross hatching.
So that means that where was it? Oh, this one. This one goes. Oh, not that one. Yeah. So Ethan, you got it. Thank you. Oh, someone's gonna show me. Got it. So silver point, and I'm just gonna explain it real quick. Basically, what it is you take a silver wire and you scratch the surface of an area, and or not an area, but a specially treated paper, and with that you create the drawing. Now, since you're scratching the paper, you're not really drawing on it. That means it's not going to be erasable, right? Now let's move on to the next one, charcoal. So what can you say about charcoal? Cannot be erased. That's not so correct.
It's fairly erasable.
Fairly erasable. And why would you say that, Elliot? Why do you think that's the case?
Because if you were try to erase it, it would just spread what you've already put on the surface.
Oh, so I see a question. What is cross hatching? Yes. So, and let me just share you my screen real quick, or a whiteboard, so I can explain to you better. Can you see the whiteboard? Let me, guys. Let me know, guys, if you can see it.
Yes.
You can. Okay, perfect. So, basically, hatching is a technique used to create shade or volume in, well, pretty much shade in drawings, right? and it's basically you doing vertical lines. Now, cross hatching, it's kind of like the name says, the same thing, but you're gonna be cross lining it. So kind of like this, right? So in cartoons, when in order for artists to draw um, um, bruises, they use this, right? They use like cross hatching or cross patterns on the cheeks, especially. That's what it is. I don't know if that answers your question, Michael. Oh, got it. No problem. Oh wait, I stopped sharing my screen. Let me share it back again. Where were we? Charcoal. Yeah. So charcoal, it is erasable, and the reason behind this is because it needs something that is called a fixative. So if you were to draw something, oh, if you were to draw something on using charcoal, and if you would let it like that, it's gonna erase itself, or it's not gonna last very long because it's not gonna adhere to the surface that you're working on. That being said, you need something especially, or most commonly use a fixative spray. So that what you do, you draw on it, you use the spray, and that way it sticks to the actual thing, so it doesn't um, ward off.
Doesn't chalk also use a fixative?
Yes.
Okay.
So now let's move to chalk. Erasable, pretty good, easily blended. Yeah. Artists use the paper as midtone. Yes. Now, Elliot also pointed out that it needs fixative, so that's another one. And let me just get up this one, or never mind. So needs fixative, and I think. Oh, what about the colors of chalk? What do you guys think those are? So now there needs to be three of them, right?
White, black, and red.
Yeah. So thank you, Azul and Elliot. You got them all correct. Now, I think those are all the ones for chalk. Now let's go ahead and move into Conte crayon. Now, yeah, this one's correct. Colors, black, red, and brown. Now, you do need to make that distinction between chalk and Conte crayon, okay? Because as you can see, they're very similar. The only one that changes is the white and the brown, right? So chalk is going to be, try to remember it this way. What material do professors use when writing on boards, right? White chalk. And for the Conte crayon, they don't use crayons for boards, right? So that's going to be a brownish color, or a brown. Now let's go ahead and let me get the details out. Oh wait, I do have it here. Never mind. Comes in made of pulverized stone. It's fixative, erasable. Yeah, pastel, it's erasable. Now, what about Conte crayon? Do you think it's erasable or not erasable?
It's impossible to erase.
And why is that?
Because of the clay and greasy binder that's used.
Yes, exactly. So since the Conte crayon uses just like you said, a greasy binder, if you try to erase it, it's just gonna make a mess, right? So yeah, greasy binder goes there as well. Now, what other things? I'm gonna put these ones. So sticks of burned wood is gonna be pretty much charcoal, right? Metal point goes here on silver point. Has similar nomenclature as charcoal. Where do you think this one goes? So what would, out of these three, be similar to charcoal?
Chalk.
You're close, Elliot.
Pencil.
You're almost close. It's actually Conte crayon. Now, charcoal has a similar nomenclature as pencil, but then Conte crayon has the similar nomenclature to charcoal. So it kind of like goes hand in hand, right? So pencil, charcoal, and then Conte Crown. Those are like the similar ones. Now, pulverized stone. This one is going to be chalk. Powder graphite. Which one of these two do you think it's the powder graphite? Yep, Conte Crown. Thank you, Evan. Which ones again? So this one is fixative. Exactly. Now, what do you think about artist mixing colors? Where do you think this one? Well, I mean, I can just for you guys. So this one's for chalk. Similar nomenclature as pencil. So which one of these do you think is the most related to pencil? And I gave you the answer just some seconds ago. Yeah, charcoal. Exactly. And that is pretty much all of the important. Oh, this one as well. These disappeared. So all of those are like the most important um, characteristics of them. Okay. Difficult to blend. This one. Oh, also one other thing, guys. If you would like um, to take pictures of this, then you can go ahead and just stick for a couple of more minutes so I can show you guys the whole thing. Okay? So you can just go over it before your exam. But is there any questions regarding like pencil, silver point, charcoal, all of the dry medias?
No.
If no, okay, then we can keep going. Now, cancel. I don't want the meeting. Now let's go to the fluid media. We have 4 different ones, and those are the most basic of them all. We have pen and ink, pen and wash, brush, ink, and brush and wash. Now, the only difference between these are what's going to be applied and how do you apply it. Now, the what's going to be applied, it's going to be either ink, just like the ink your pen uses, or wash. What wash is a mixture of ink and water. So basically watered down ink. And the 2 different techniques in which they can be applied is either on a pen or a brush, just like a regular brush. Okay. Does that make sense? Really straightforward. Any questions? No questions? Got it. Now let's go to painting. This one is one of the most tedious ones because there's a lot to cover. Now, there are 3 definitions that we need to cover before actually seeing it. Now, pigment, binder, and support. Jorge, would you like to read this section?
Yes, let me just find it real quick.
Yeah, of course.
All right, cool. Okay, so pigment consists of color in powder form. There are natural and synthetic. Natural, divided into organic and inorganic. Organic pigments come from animals and plants. Transparent. Inorganic come from metals and oxides, making them opaque. I'm not sure if I said that right. And
Oh, yeah, you got it.
Right. And then synthetics mimic the naturals, but they are inexpensive and has a large range of colors.
Got it.
Binder. Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, you can stop there or you can keep going if you want.
What do you prefer?
You can stop there. Don't worry.
All right, cool.
But thank you, Jorge. So yeah, the first what the artists are going to use to color their works of art. Now there are 2 categories: natural and synthetic. Naturals are just like the name says. They come from the earth. They're natural. Hey, can you guys? Hey, can you guys hear me?
You cut out for a moment, but I can hear you now.
Nice, perfect. Yeah, I got kicked out of the Zoom meeting for some reason. But anyways, let me just keep sharing my screen. So let me explain it again. Like I was saying, there's two types of different pigments: naturals and synthetics. So naturals are the ones that come from Earth. Synthetics are man-made, right? Now, within the naturals, there's two types: organic and inorganics. Organics are the ones that come from animals and plants, so living beings, and this is usually going to make them more transparent. And inorganics are going to come from metals and oxides, which are going to make them opaque-ish. I don't know if that makes a little sense. Now, the binder is what's gonna, you kind of could think about it as a glue, right? What it's gonna hold together the pigments and the surface that is gonna be worked on, right? So if you were drawing something, right? The binder, it's on the pencil itself because that's gonna make it stick to what the surface that you're drawing, in this case a notebook, right? That's basically what the binder is. Now, support is what you're going to be drawing in or making the art in. So it can be either a canvas, it can be things as walls, etc. Now let's go to the different types of paintings. Zoe, would you like to read the first one?
You don't care who does?
Yeah, I don't mind. It can be anyone.
Let's see here.
Here on the fresco one.
Okay. Paint made of pigment mix. That's fresco.
Yes.
You just want me to read it?
Yeah.
Paint made of pigment mixed with water is applied to a surface of wet lime plaster, which is the binder. This is painted in sections called giornati, or daily sections that can be completed in a single section before the plaster dries. If the artist is making a mistake, then the design should be chipped and start all over again.
Thank you. So yeah, just like Elliot said, basically what fresco paintings are is you take the paint, which is the pigment, and you take the binder, which is going to be lime plaster. You put the lime plaster in the wall. You make the drawing, the preliminary drawing, and then you start drawing with the paint, right? Now, this is done in sections called giornati. And the reason behind this is because if you were to draw the whole thing in just one section or one sitting, if you were to make a mistake, or if the artist would make a mistake, you need to take down the whole thing. And that's really no good, right? So you want to, if you make a mistake or you want to make a correction, you can just take out just a section of the whole thing and then rework on it, and you don't lose any of your progress, right? Now, I'm going to read for you guys the next one. Encaustic. Pigments are suspended in molten wax and applied with brushes upon a smooth panel of wood. Cannot be reworked and produces vivid, fresh, and long-lasting colors. So basically, this one, what it is waxed, placed on wood, right? Now, since it is wax, and for all of those, you kind of would need to imagine if you were drawing it, right? So you can have like a better understanding of what's going on. So if you were to be drawing with wax, right, whenever it's dried out, you cannot rework it again, right? There's no way for you to erase something or just make it look better. Now the next one, tempera, that's going to be pigment in egg. And one of the advantages of this is that it produces very brilliant colors, kind of like encaustic. But just like the one before, it cannot be worked or reworked after it dries. Now, watercolor, this one's pretty similar. These are the ones that little kids used to, or not little kids, but usually um, like the water chips or water. I don't remember what they're called, but do you guys know what I mean? The little water things that kids used to paint on paper. Those are. So basically, they're pigments called gum arabics, and it's watered down in order for you to be able to pick a brush and paint whatever you're painting on. Now, cannot be reworked. It's very transparent, and it usually is worked on a smaller scale. Now, let's go to the next one, oil. Now, this one is usually the most seen in Europe, um, and actually, it was created in Europe. But the downside to it is that it can take up to 1 year to dry out, right? So it is a very long process and especially dangerous. Not dangerous, but really time consuming since in order for you to clean it, mix it, or apply it, you need chemicals, right? So it is going to take you a lot of time to work using oil. I'm sorry. Now, let's move on to the latest one, which is acrylic. That's the latest invention, right? It's basically like oil, but instead of being oil, it's a liquid plastic, right? So it's just as flexible as oil, but it is very quick to dry. Can be applied in glazes and impasto. Does not yellow. It cleans up with water and is less expensive, right? So that's kind of like the modern alternative for oil.
And it can also be used with airbrush, right?
Yes, so acrylic can be used, or yeah, using airbrush. Now, what about Rogelio? Do you know what airbrush is?
Yeah, I know what airbrush is.
Can you explain it for us?
Well, I mean, this what's it called? Do I read the definition there, or you want me to explain it? What I think what it is?
Just what you think. Yeah, or yeah, whatever.
Well, I mean, because I know that I used to work at this one place, and like airbrush is just I guess this little machine that they use, kind of like a spray gun, and they would put the mixture on the bottom, and they would just have like a compressor on the side, and then just spray on it.
Yes, so it's basically spraying a mist of paint, right? But yeah, thank you, Rogelio. So I have a short definition, but now this one is a really traditional one. For the place that Rogelio worked on, I'm pretty sure that they have really modern machinery, so it's going to be a little bit different. But either way, it's the same basic concept, right? So basically, what it is, you're technically spraying the paint, usually acrylic, onto the surface, right? Now, there's other two techniques which are called glazing, which is when you do or when artists use thin layers over and over again, so you can kind of see how it glazes. That's where the name comes from. Now, impasto is the opposite of that. Instead of using thin layers, you use a thick layer of paint, so you can create kind of like that relief on the painting. So if you were to directly touch it, you would feel the bumps on the paint. Any questions so far?
I have a question.
Oh, go ahead, Travis.
So for the I just lost it. The three types of painting you were talking about. The one that you said that was thin. I forgot the name of it.
What?
The painting that you said that was a thin layer.
Oh, glaze.
Yeah, glaze.
So glazing, yeah.
So is that one like multiple layers of thin that like make a thick layer, or is it just going to always be thin? Like, is just like one thin layer?
No, it's just different thin layers, but it's not really going to be thick compared to the other parts of the, the painting. If that makes
Okay.
sense.
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay,
Just to
got it.
follow up on that question, it's just a glaze that goes over the colors and kind of brings them out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Cool. Thank you.
So thank you, Elliot. Yeah, you got it right. Now let's move on to the last one. Now printmaking. Printmaking basically what it is transferring an image to an actual surface, right? And we have a couple of terminologies here, or terminology that we need to cover. Matrix is basically the base design, right? What's going to be transferred onto the next, um, onto the additions that you want to cover. Now, once the artist, let's say, if you guys were artists and you say, I'm just going to make 100 drawings using this matrix, after you complete those 100, then you would destroy the matrix, so there's no further creation of your art. Now there is different types of printmakings for relief, intaglio, lithography, and silkscreen. Now, would anyone like to explain what relief is?
The raised areas hold the ink. It's
Yeah,
the
exactly.
opposite of it of intaglio.
Perfect. You got the perfect definition. Thank you, Elliot. So yeah, relief, and I actually have a picture for you guys here. This square labeled A, that's going to be the matrix. So basically, what artists do, they scrape the the matrix, and the top layer, that's going to be the design, right? Now the ink is going to be located in that top layer, and when you press a paper onto the matrix, that's going to be what's going to be transferred to it, right? Now there's two types of it. There's woodcut and lino cut. The only difference between those two is what the matrix is made of. Now the matrix and woodcut, it's just like the name says, it's wood, and the matrix and lino cut is going to be a rubbery linoleum block, right? So linoleum, wood cut, right? But yeah, that's pretty much all of those. Let's move on to intaglio. And Elliot already said what intaglio is. That's going to be the opposite of relief, right? So instead of the ink going on the top of the design, the ink is going to be on those scraped areas, right? So here, the red parts are going to be the ink, and these are going to be the scraped areas on the matrix. Now, for this one, there's 4 different types. The first 2 are engraving and dry point, and those. Oh, and another thing, for intaglio, instead of using wood and lino cut as the matrix, we are going to be using a metal matrix, usually copper. But anyways, let's keep going. Now there's 4 types. Just like I was saying, the first 2, it's engraving and dry point. Basically, what these are artists. They scratch the design onto the metal plate, but there's some tiny differences between them. So for engraving, they use a Viren. That's the tool. That's what the tool is called, and the results are really precise, right? Now in dry point, the difference is that the the tool is called a dry point needle, and when the artist finishes using or doing the drawing, it's gonna leave a kind of like lines or imperfect. I wouldn't call them. You could call them imperfections on the edge of the line, and that's gonna be called a veer. So that way, the the drawing is not gonna lose. It's not gonna be as precise or mechanic as engraving, but it's gonna look a little more natural. Now the other two are etching and aquatint. The difference between these two and the past two is that instead of directly scratching the metal plate, what you're gonna do is you're gonna cover the plate with a acid protected cover. Then you're gonna scrape that off, and basically you're gonna submerge the metal in acid, right? So for etching, that's what you're gonna do. You're gonna cover it with acid coating, scratch the coating for the areas that you want the metal or the design for. Then you submerge the matrix into a bath of acid. Now, aquatint, instead of covering the whole thing with the coating, you're gonna use powder coating, right? So that's gonna give the design a little like grainy feel to it. So you're gonna see a lot of points on the final design. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Got it. Thank you, Elliot. Now let's go to lithography. Travis, would you like to read this paragraph?
Yes. Okay. Lithography uses a slab of limestone where the artist creates a positive image. He uses either a greasy crayon or a greasy liquid called Tush. I don't even know how to say that. I'm sorry. To paint the design. Chemicals are used to fix the image to the stone. The print is done when the stone is dampened and inked. Then the paper is roller pressed into the stone.
Got it. Thank you. So this one is a little similar to the others. The most obvious difference is that the matrix is not going to be neither wood or metal. It's going to be an actual limestone, like an actual stone. Now, in order for artists to create the design on it, they use a greasy crayon or a greasy liquid, right? Basically, what that liquid is when you fill the whole thing with ink. That ink is gonna stick to that crayon, so to the design already drawn, right? So whenever the print is done, that ink is gonna be passed on to the paper. Now let's go on to the next one, silk screen. And this one, I think you guys have probably heard or seen it, but that's usually how a lot of T-shirts are made. Basically, what they do is they create a design on the screen, and they do it so that only on a specific area ink can pass through, right? So all of this is ink. When you put it and you press it, that ink is just gonna go through the area, the design that you chose the ink to go through, and that's gonna go to the shirt itself. But yeah, that is all the material. Any questions on printmaking or anything at all?
I have a quick question.
Yeah, go ahead, Travis.
This this thing on Miro, this pretty much everything that we're going over, this is still going to be available at this?
Yes, but I'm not sure. So yeah, the link is still gonna work. If you guys want to take pictures so you don't have to like go to the link, then I can just show it to you real quick. Oh, and before you guys leave, I know a lot of people entered the room or the call after it started, so I'm just gonna send you guys the attendance link. Okay.
Okay.
So
And
that's
also
just.
to,
Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry, just to clarify, so the link won't do like a reset after we finish with this? All the
Oh, no.
all the like the sticky notes will still be there in
Yeah,
the same
yeah,
spot?
yeah. You can. Yeah, it's just gonna be just as we left it over here.
Cool, thank you.
No, no problems. So if you would like to take a picture instead of revisiting the link, just let me know so I can show it to you piece by piece. Okay? You can let me know through the chat. Now, I just sent the link. So for anyone who didn't sign in, go ahead and use that link, please. And if not, then I will see you guys next time. Also, if you have questions, then just feel free to stick around and just ask them. Okay. Oh, another note before you leave, for the exam, remember that you need to. So all of the exam, or the vast majority of it, it's going to be terminology and characteristics, right? So you need to really, really memorize all of those terms and the characteristics of it. So, for example, pencil, if it's erasable, does it need a fixative? What are their values, right? Because only 5 questions in the whole exam, and the exam is going to be like 32 questions, are going to be image identifying. Okay.
Very good.
So if you guys, go ahead.
I'm sorry. You said that if we were in Art 3300, where do we sign in for that?
You can just click the link, and instead of since there's no 3300 option, you can just select 1300, but you're still going to get like any credit that you need for the class. Okay.
Okay, I'm having a little trouble finding the link.
It's on the call chat.
Call chat. Okay.
Do you see it?
No, I don't.
Look, let me send you a private message.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you, Marco.
Do you see it?